In this video, PEMF, the fifth element of health, you are going to discover why pulse magnetic fields are an essential element of health. This is why we are calling it the fifth element of health. Most people are familiar that with food, water, and oxygen being essential, and sleep as well. Well, now we know there's a fifth element that is equally, if not more important than some of the others. In fact, you can live longer without food and water than you can without pulsed electromagnetic fields. The energetic universe we live in, quantum mechanics predicts that each cubic centimeter of space has at least 10 to the 52nd ergs of energy. That's more than a trillion nuclear explosions. Now, only 4% of the energy of the universe, with what we can see out into space, is actually physical matter. The other remaining 96% is actually energy. Now, here on Earth, we actually live in a very energetic environment as well, as you can see from the diagrams that I have there. We live in this flow of solar winds and over 1 million lightning strikes every day, and we have this magnetic field and these pulse magnetic energies of the Earth. So here on planet Earth, it's a very, very energetic environment. Now, the body as well is predominantly energy. There's a saying that energy trumps chemistry, and that's certainly true in physics, and it's also true with biophysics. And now the ancients knew this because they had an understanding of the subtle energies of the human body. They called it ki, chi, prana. Now we call it life force and other things. But we know that with modern equipment, we can actually measure with different types of Carillion photography and GDV. We can measure this corona energy. And even traditional medicine has devices like EEGs, EKGs, that measure electrical signals in the body. Now, energy medicine itself has been around for a long time, and there's a lot of devices, but we're going to mainly focus on PEMF in this discussion. So PEMF, the fifth element discovered. Well, it was way back when Yuri Gagarin was out with his historic launch into space that he returned after just 1 hour and 48 minutes with all kinds of problems: depression, bone loss, muscle degeneration, decreased metabolism, and impaired perception. Now, since that historic flight, there have been 0 field studies done that have confirmed that the problem was lack of healthy pulsed magnetic fields. So we now know, based on research and NASA studies and government studies and other studies, that PEMF is a required element of health, as we've talked about before. So if we don't get pulsed electromagnetic fields, we actually get sick, and long enough we actually die. So, well, why is it that we don't die or get sick? Well, we do live on the Earth, just like a fish in water. We kind of take it for granted that we are always immersed in these Earth-based frequencies. This is sometimes called the Schumann resonant frequency, which is about 7.83 hertz. So that's the most fundamental energy and frequency of the Earth. Now, there is a 11.75 frequency that's associated with the magnetic grid of the Earth as well. But most of the frequencies of the planet are between 0 and 30 hertz. Now, there has been, the NASA studies, they do use these Schumann wave generators in all the space launches and space stations. So they know, even NASA knows, that we need these Earth frequencies. And Addie and Bowen and Dr. John Zimmerman have also confirmed that we not only need these frequencies, which are roughly 0.3 to 30 hertz, but we actually emit them as well. It's very, very fascinating. So, the Earth and the body and the brain and the mind are all sort of synced. And this diagram really illustrates that. So we have here a picture of the Earth and the magnetic fields and the Schumann resonant frequency of the Earth. And notice that in the brain there are little magnetite crystals that absorb these energies from the Earth, and then it transfers the energies through our nervous system, and we actually emit these frequencies also through our hands, as the Zimmerman study showed. Hands-on healers emit these frequencies. And the brain state frequencies from low delta to high beta, guess what? 0 to 30 hertz. So I want to ask you a question. Why is it that we don't get heart cancer? Have you ever thought about that? Well, the answer is the heart is the most electrical organ in your body. It's got the voltage of each heart cell is about 120 millivolts, or minus 120 millivolts. That's almost twice as much as the other cells in our body. Now, pulse magnetic fields act like a whole body battery charger by recharging each of those 70 trillion cells in your body. Now, even though we can't quite get the energy of our cells to match the heart, we can certainly raise it up to 70 to even up to 110 millivolts in the case of high-end athletes. So PEMF acts like a spark, an ignition or an impulse that keeps the cells charged at an ideal voltage, and it helps with ATP production, oxygenation, nutrient absorption, waste removal, and all the other metabolic functions. So a sick cell loses energy, and there's not enough ATP and not enough energy when you have a really sick cell. So PEMF builds the cellular energy. So there's the problem. Some people say, well, why don't you just go lay on the earth? Well, that sounds good, but actually there's a twofold problem right now. The first problem is we're not getting enough of the good, meaning our Earth in the past 300 years has declined, or the magnetic field strength has declined by 50%. And you add to that the fact that the average person spends over 90% of their or more of their day inside. And when we are outside, we tend to walk with rubber soles, drive in, cars that are metal. Trains, planes, and automobiles are all kind of metal and rubber and, just disconnected from the earth. So it's been coined a word called magnetic deficiency syndrome. Now, not only are we not getting enough of the good, but we're getting too much of the bad. And that's what's called electrosmog, which is unhealthy PEMFs from computers, cell phones, digital clocks, microwaves, TVs, hair dryers, etc. So not enough of the good, too much of the bad. What's the solution? Well, the solution is Earth-based PEMF. Again, remember that 0.3 to 30 hertz. This is what the Earth provides us. This is what we optimally absorb and what we even emit. And it's what our brains are synchronized to from all the different brain states. So the MRS 2000 is the only PEMF device that actually duplicates nature with the frequencies, intensities, and even the biorhythm clock, which gives you energizing frequencies in the early part of the day, relaxing frequencies at night. Now, in only 8 minutes twice a day, your 70 trillion cells are fully charged and oxygenated. The full body mat on the MRS 2000 uses a sawtooth wave, which delivers bunches of Earth-based frequencies simultaneously, and the applicator pad and probe uses a square wave, which is what NASA has shown and proved to be the most effective for healing, regeneration, tissue, wound healing, etc. And then we also have an optional light and sound machine. So, the benefits of the MRS include more energy, better sleep, better mental focus, and much more. Now, in conclusion, we live in a very highly energetic universe that is mostly energy, and we ourselves are primarily energetic beings. Pulsed magnetic fields of the Earth, from this highly energized Earth, give us, at the cellular level, this very much needed energy, which then drives cellular metabolism. The Earth itself is very highly energetic, as I said, and those frequencies really drive the human physiology. PEMF acts like a whole body battery charger and helps to solve the twofold problem that we talked about. Well, thanks so much for listening, and I hope you got a lot out of this video.